There is no turning back. There is the world before AI, world after AI.
This is All Things Fitness and Wellness, hosted by Krissy Vann. Together, we're uniting industry thought leaders and fitfluencers on the mission to inspire innovation and encourage people to live a life fit and well. Coming off the heels of the Fitness Technology Summit, we're jumping into everyone's favorite buzzword, artificial intelligence. Sick of hearing about it yet? So's Fernando Chilvarguer, Chief Information Officer at the Bay Club Company. But here's the thing. One day, AI will be so seamlessly integrated into our lives, we'll finally stop talking about it. That day just isn't today. Tools are evolving faster than most operators can keep up, and knowing which ones actually move the needle is what separates the curious from the prepared. In this episode of the ATFW podcast, Fernando breaks down how AI is reshaping business and member experience and why the industry may want to take ownership of its future by building open source models instead of relying on outside tech giants. Because ready or not, the future of fitness is getting smarter and is learning quickly. We have new episodes weekly featuring industry thought leaders and influencers. I'm your host, Krissy Vann, and this is ATFW. I am so pleased to have you join me on the ATFW podcast. And this all came about because we got connected ahead of the Fitness Technology Summit and had a brief conversation, but it became very apparent, not just that you're knowledgeable. Obviously, we know you're an expert in your field, but you're also exceptionally passionate about your field. And the thing that's so interesting about the tech space in general, it's always been moving very quickly. I mean, we look at how technology's changed throughout our lifetime, but I feel as though now more than ever, we are seeing that rapid speed have an exponent on it. And the reason being is AI. You think of the dot-com boom and how things evolve so quickly, and we're on this other huge evolution in real time. So first of all, I just want to thank you for letting me borrow your time today.
Sure. No, thanks for having me.
For you right now, obviously this is a significant technological shift, but from your perspective, what areas of AI are truly moving the needle in the fitness industry right now as we speak?
On the industry side, I think AI agents, primarily customer service, that would be the beginning, right? That's the visible tip of the iceberg of everything that is happening and has been happening behind the scenes for many years now. I know that AI is the current buzzword, but is one of those instant successes. There are decades in the making, right? We've been using AI for a long time. We just don't notice or don't call it, right? Netflix suggests you a movie, that's AI. When Google auto completes your search term, right? You type two words and it tries to guess what you're trying to do next. That's AI. But we never really thought about it as AI. Um, but now with the natural language models, ChatGPT, etc., like it brought the consciousness of that to the wider audience, and now, right, it's the instant success, but it's been here for a long time. So for our industry, I think the potential is huge. I think we're just starting. What role do we want to play on the bigger overall ecosystem of AI, right? Are we, as an industry, consumers of AI, or we're going to go and take a step forward in AI players? I know we're not, um, let's say, pure technology companies. We do have some technology companies, some vendors in our space, right? We have club management systems and other type of booking systems and payment systems, but we are not pure tech, right? Like, and I think that I think our vision, our collective vision, should be that we should own our own destiny. So one thing that we are planning, beginning stages of planning here at the Bay Club, and we want to do is we are looking into what it would take for us to create, um, and let's call it a a fitness oriented AI model, right? Because models, I know people look and say, oh, there's ChatGPT and there's Gemini, and they look at the top five LLM type models. But what people don't realize, there's millions of models already
Mm.
in existence, and people create those models. I think we need to create models specific to our industry. We need to open source those models, which means whoever creates it, if it's us, a competitor or a vendor, we open source it. It's published, it's free, and everybody can use it. That'll be step one, right? And the rising tide lifts all boats, kind of the same thing. You publish, people contribute to it, just makes everything better. But that's your, let's call it your foundational model, right? That's your, let's say, generic fitness model that will be good at specific, on industry specific things, but it's still generic.
Mm.
Now you can bring that model into your business and go to the next step, right? And augment that model with your business specific data, processes, and customize and use yourself. But you don't have everybody don't have to spend the same money and the same effort, different results. Share the foundation, you just do the specifics that you need to do. I think the um, there'll be a good topic of discussion coming up for for us again as an industry to, or we're just gonna let someone else do it for us, or just focus on, a vendor. I'm gonna create a fitness AI agent, and now everybody uses that one vendor. Like
Mm.
I like the openness. I like the sharing. I think we can get much further if we all do that. Let's get ahead of other people, because otherwise, yep, someone else will come in. They will do right. They will see the gap, and they will come in, and but now we're dependent on, uh,
Mhm.
let's call it outside players to
Yeah, you see the
run our
opportunity
destiny.
there. So you're saying seize the moment now. And obviously, at the end of the day, there is a lot that has to go into it, but the ROI, not just for individual clubs, but for the industry as a whole, and the learnings are going to be massive if that's put into action. One of the other elements that I thought was really interesting that we chatted that I wanted to dive into, we talk about back of house. And obviously, operators are always looking for ways to streamline cost inefficiencies. Staffing issues have been problematic. And obviously, when people think of AI, the agents are top of mind. But one element you said is very quickly we could be getting to the point of agents talking to agents. So what does that look like
Right.
and how does that impact the member experience? Are members ready to live in this AI era?
Uh, I I think they're ready. I don't think they know they're ready. I think the good example is when the iPhone came out, right, in 2007, I think. And some people were like, "Oh my god, yes, I get it." But a lot of people were like, "Phone without a keyboard, that's never gonna work," right? So I think we're in a kind of the same type of inflection point where even the people that's like, "Oh, this is not gonna impact me," or this already does, right? We talk about the Netflix and all that, and but it's gonna impact a lot more. The what you refer to is right is the we call it, agent to agent communication, which this is something that is happening right now really fast, where you chain different AI agents together to accomplish tasks. So today, most of it is back of the house. Most of it, a good example is when you use a voice to talk to an agent. right there, you're already talking to multiple agents. You don't really feel it, but there is one agent that is responsible for the voice to text translation, which then is sent to
Right.
the second agent to answer the question, right? So there's already this multi-agent mode, and the industry is getting very fast. They're creating standards now where you can create agents that are prepared to interact with other agents, so to receive input and send output to other agents. What I think we will get to eventually, because also costs will go down. Already, costs are in between, the last 12 months, the costs are already way down on to use AI, to train AI, and I think that trend will continue. Again, it's always hard to, in the present, extrapolate, but you'll be cheap enough that I think we'll have individual agents. They're sophisticated enough that it becomes your personal agent, which is different than the agent you have on your phone, right? You can ask Google for this or Siri for that, and they're agents and they know a lot about you, a lot more than people realize they do, which is a whole different topic. Um, but it's the next level of an agent knowing beyond what they know today because of your phone usage or your web search, an agent that has memory, right? So with time, that agent keeps knowing more and more about you. And a year in, 2 years in, 10 years in, it's it gets all the context there. And if everybody has an agent, now there'll be a lot of agent to agent transactions that you don't have to supervise. So you can ask your agent to, um, an example in our industry, right? So I can talk to my agent saying, "Hey, is John, my friend John, you know, available to play tennis next week? And if so, can you get it all taken care of?" Right? At that level, you don't have to specify, "Can I do Tuesday at 3 p.m.?" Your agent knows your likes and dislikes. Your agent will talk to John's agent. No, with John. John will get already the digested and processed version saying, "Your friend Fernando wants to play. I know, John's agent knows that John likes to play on Thursday." Like all that gets digested before, making it very easy for very little, less intrusive type of agent interaction. Right? John can just say yes. Like the agents did the hard work between
Mm.
themselves because they know the people. Now that's I think that will happen. I think that's a distant future. Distant is a relative term
I
nowadays.
was going to say probably not
Um,
that distant when you say distant.
right? But it is another example is, and again, this delegation of responsibility to the agent. That's the main difference. So I see something wrong on my statement. I just go to the agent and say, "Hey, I don't think that the bill is right. Can you work with customer service?" Without having to be very specific. I can just say, um, "I don't think I went to the restaurant that day. Can you just work with customer service?" Again, agent to agent. It's not like customer service was receiving a ticket or an email, right? The agent can already deal, and hopefully a lot of those can be resolved between the agents without human intervention. Again, very dangerous today. Still have a lot of human in the loop needs to make sure that things are don't go off rails. But we're being hypothetical and talking about the future, you know, just bother the human when you hit a dead end. right? Or you have a question. So agents today, like specifically coding agents, like they will say, "Hey, that's my proposal. Do you accept or not?" Like there's already that communication, but I can see it. The personal agent future will be big,
It's
right? Like
fascinating. It sounds exciting. It also sounds incredibly dystopian.
it is because think about the first interaction a personal trainer will have with me would be via my agent.
Right.
By the time by the time I talk to the trainer, I mean everything about me, right, should be done. And my agent talks to the trainer's agent to help guide, like so on both sides. I think that yeah, it's hard to visualize, but I think it's coming. It's a dystopian future, yes.
Yeah, well, and kind of on that note, I mean, obviously, AI's rapidly changed our lives for the better, even just as a simple user. Like your point earlier was that even the consumer is using it in their day to day life. I mean, I don't have present stats because they're constantly changing in regards to usage on the uptick and adoption, but most people could find a way to utilize tools that have AI to make themselves more efficient in their day to day work lives. But the leaps that you're speaking to, exactly, the term distant, you kinda have to use with caution because I think that that distance is really getting shorter and shorter. You're obviously such an expert in this field, so I know a lot of consumers or people have skepticism or fears over where AI is headed. Is there anything when you look into this AI crystal ball that makes you cautious and fearful? Like, what keeps you up at night knowing as much as you do about technology?
Oh, a lot keeps me up at night right now, mostly cyber related, not AI related. Um, I think the main point there is the ethical point. You got to make sure that first, everything needs to be by consent. You should not. Right? So the person using the member using the AI agent, there's the whole consent part of it, and not the fine print, right? I think the person needs to understand what they're getting into and what's being shared. There's different levels of sharing, right? Like
Mhm.
it's my data being used to train this industry fitness model or not. And I opt out of having my data, right? And then also data safety, making sure that whatever I'm sharing, it's safe. There won't be, data leaks and hacks. And so that is where that's a touch point that we need to be very careful not to be perceived as intrusive, irresponsible, and just like playing loose with data and things like that. So, but there are other areas where that already happens. So for the regular person, right, that's not going to be new. It's just more. Right? You have your terms and conditions. Well, there needs to be the AI segment of your terms and conditions where you can let people know what you're going to do with your AI data. We already have about data in general, but the
Mhm.
AI specific stuff and help to opt out, like you opt out from email campaigns and you opt out from other things. You need to get there. Um, I don't think AI will be the end of humanity. I know there's that school of thought. I don't think there would be a lot of changes to the job market.
Mm.
I think I think there'll be a lot of changes to the jobs,
Right.
but the market, yes, there are always going to be some areas where there'll be less jobs available, and then you create jobs into other areas. But I think that, like the example of the personal trainer, right? I'm not saying that AI is going to take over the personal trainer job. The AI will help the personal trainer. And I think you can extrapolate that into all the other jobs. You're still going to have customer service agents. They're just going to be more efficient. Right? You're not going to. I think the real dystopian future is the one that you can't talk to a human. But guess what? That happens today. Try to
Yeah,
call your
fair.
try to call your cable company, AI or not, right? You're already not talking to a human. Like it's so hard, right? So
It's so true.
I think the jobs are still there. I think it'll be it depends on the field. I think it'll be harder for entry level jobs, things that computers are good with, things that AI are very good with. It becomes harder for that entry level uh, person to break it into a profession when all the entry level tasks are very AI driven.
Mhm.
You still need
Mhm.
all the experts. I don't see any changes to, right? You have a seasoned personal trainer, they're not going anywhere. You're now going to have much better tools. I don't
Mhm.
think, and you can always give that experience, right? And today you have some of that. Some people don't want to go all the way to paying for a personal trainer. Well, we can have tools that will give them something. I don't think is the same. I think the human factor doesn't go away. I think
Mhm.
that there are multiple cycles, and it's always that worry and the hype that oh, it's going to replace humans. It's going to change the relationship. I don't think it will ever replace humans, at least not
Yeah, and
on the parts that matter.
I think an interesting school of thought could be, I mean, I completely hear you on the personal training side of thing. Anyone that's ever utilized a service like that or is familiar knows the power of that human relationship and what it can pull out of another person. But when you talk about entry level and those jobs more than likely being replaced from the computer set, I think of the kids that are coming up right now that would generally start in those entry level positions, they're growing up. I mean, they've been growing up for years learning how to code. I didn't in elementary school. Now they're growing up in the era of AI. So perhaps it'll just be more the definition of what we think is an entry level job will have changed because I
Good
think
point.
they're just going to be educated in such a different way than we are. I don't know. That's just me riffing based on what you said. But I was like, oh, food for thought. I think it's just going to be, they'll probably laugh at what we thought an entry level job is when we started out thinking
Oh, I
like what
hear
they're
you.
able to accomplish will be so different.
I mean, I'm in technology, and my son, I you see him just just getting an iPad or an iPhone, and how he interacts with it. Like I get lost on things
Yeah.
that he's doing, and it's yeah, it's different wires, right? When you're born with that stuff. So his generation was it's born with the smartphone, and people the next generation, right, will be born with AI. And yeah, what does that mean? Don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they take us. Hopefully, you know what? I feel like people always knock the generations that are coming up. And I think that's a generational thing, time and time. That's just the way it's always gone. But I'm actually really excited to see what comes out of them because they've just grown up in such a contrasting way to the rest of us. But back to the industry itself, one thing that you mentioned, the importance of data, and data is going to drive whether you work together to create these models. It's what operators should be investing in now. A lot of operators that I've spoken with over time, the discussion comes up of people that have a lot of data but don't know what to do with it.
When you're training a model or creating a model, if the foundation is bad data, it's going to be a bad model. And good data is less of a technology issue, and more of a people/operations, because that's what's all the way at the end. Let's say you want to provide great service to a member that you know is a member, and they come to the club, and instead of formally checking them in, you just wave them in, like, hey, hey, John, great seeing you again. Great service, great experience. But we didn't collect that check in, right? So it's like John never came to the club. You extrapolate that to, tens of thousands of check ins a day and millions of check ins a year. if that's not accurate, right? And that's a silly example, but like everything.
Yeah.
If the foundation is the data at first to be able to even without AI, right? If you're just talking about the data science, predictive analysis, creating your data warehouse, your data lake, it needs to be good data. For financial analysis, for anything, you need that good data. The need for good data just gets compounded with AI because of the feedback loop too, right? Because when you're talking about training a model, you have the initial training, right? The initial training is right, the different phases. So the initial training is I don't have a model. I'm gonna show, I'm gonna train this model to identify dogs. And I'm gonna get 1 billion photos of dogs and 1 billion photos of not dogs. And I'm gonna train the model. That's how you train it, right? You show the model, here, this is a dog, this is not a dog, and you repeat billions of times. Now you have a model and you have an accuracy, right? And it could be 80% accurate, 90% accurate. Now you start feeding, right? You start using the model and you gotta have the feedback loop. Every time the model guesses right, that you tell the model that that was right or that was wrong. And that starts changing the weights and the accuracy of the model because you want the model to get to 90%, 95%. If you have bad data, your model is going to get worse and worse. You're not going to improve your model. So data, it's everything, right? There are companies today that are worth billions of dollars, and what they do is they label data, right? This is a dog, of course, oversimplifying, but that's
No,
their
I
business.
appreciate the oversimplification because it helps us visualize and understand. Like these are ultimately, as I say, AI, artificial intelligence. We hear it day in, day out to the point it feels like a buzzword. And I feel like simplifying some of these nuance of how it operates is so
Yeah,
helpful because I think just a lot of people kick it at the surface, but we don't really have, like, as you know, us in our everyday lives, we don't necessarily have a profound understanding of what's happening behind the scenes.
data labeling. That's one area where people don't realize, right, that it exists, and that's key to the industry.
Well, Fernando, I appreciate so much of what you're sharing with us because I know you're just a wealth of passionate knowledge. And we kind of talked about what the future might look like, and it's hard to speculate. I mean, even before we set this up, you and I had an email conversation essentially saying we could record this, and even in a couple of
Sure.
weeks, the arena that we're playing in could look exponentially different. But if we are looking ahead these next few years, we know operators are always planning their business goals ahead of time. So, what do you think will distinguish the operators who successfully harness AI from those who struggle to keep up?
Again, two separate areas, right? I think on the customer facing side, I think there'll be this native expectation, right? It's a given. The customer will expect that there will be capabilities such as your AI agents and all that, and the people that don't have will be at a disadvantage. Specific shape of who knows where will be, but there'll be the expectation, and they may be a differentiator when people are choosing where to go, right? So this is it's just a change in mindset. It's not a plus, right? Today is, oh, AI is a plus. I can give AI to my member. No, that's gonna be just commodity, right? Everybody should have it. If you don't, you're behind. You have to have it. Um, but I think from the on the business side, um, all the efficiencies which will translate into better performance, right? ROI, etc., will also be looked at by investors and owners and And if you don't have those efficiencies because you're not using the tools that are available to you, right? Then again, you're at a disadvantage, right? Tools like AI for predicting who's about to a trade, which member you're about to lose, right? Well, if you know that because of your use of AI and someone else don't have the capability, you'll be at a disadvantage, right? Today, every operator has their own mental model, right, of knowing who's about to quit. And we're just now bringing that mental model into overdrive and now using data to really get that taken care of. I think efficiencies could be operational, as in we need less customer service people for the same volume or more volume, but it could be also things like, um, you know, uh, get your attrition numbers lower using new tools, improve your sales. Like, I mean, it's endless. It's kind of hard, right? It's a big hammer right now. Like AI, you say AI, but there's so many different things. Um, I think you'll become transparent. I think you will get to the point where you're not talking about AI anymore because it's just part of life. You don't talk about having a smartphone, right? You assume the people that you're communicating with, most of them have a smartphone. Kind of the same. Like it's going to become transparent. It won't be a topic of conversation.
Yeah, which
It's,
is wild to think about how much we're talking about it in the now, but it's also why, Fernando, I have to say I'm unbelievably grateful because, as you said, in this current time period, it is the hammer. It impacts every facet of your business, which I can only imagine for someone like yourself with your expertise is incredibly exciting, but also keeping you exponentially busier. And I know that's just one stream that you're kind of you and your team's in charge of doing at Bay Club. So thank you so very much for just lifting the hood a little bit for us because as I say, you cannot go to a conference without AI being the topic of conversation out of the gate. And I just feel like having brains like yourself to bring it down a few levels for us to have better eyes and understanding of where we're headed, what the future might look like is so advantageous. So I appreciate you greatly for that.
my pleasure. Yeah, this is great.
You've just listened to the All Things Fitness and Wellness podcast, hosted by Krissy Vann. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly featuring industry insiders and influencers. Together, we're on a mission for everyone to live a life fit and well.